Something is wrong with you. That much you know. You cannot name it precisely. You cannot point to a single event that caused it. You cannot explain it in a way that satisfies the people around you who keep telling you things are not that bad. But you feel it every morning when the weight arrives before you have done anything to deserve it. Every social interaction where you perform being fine with a precision that exhausts you by noon. Every night when the quiet comes and the thoughts you spent all day managing finally have room to move. You feel it, and at some point, because the feeling had no other name, you gave it one: depression, or anxiety, or burnout, or just, I am not okay and I do not know why. And maybe a doctor confirmed it. Maybe a therapist named it. Maybe you diagnose yourself from a list of symptoms that describe your daily experience so accurately it felt like relief to finally have a word for it. But here is what I want to ask you. Before the label, before the diagnosis, before the medication or the therapy or the long, careful work of managing condition, did anyone ask you not what is wrong with you, but what is wrong around you? Not what is broken inside you, but what is broken in the life you are living? Not what your brain is doing, but whether the environment your brain is operating inside was ever actually designed for someone like you. Because Viktor Frankl, who survived 3 Nazi concentration camps and spent his life studying the human capacity for meaning, said something that should stop you completely. He said, "An abnormal reaction to an abnormal situation is normal behavior." Read that again. An abnormal reaction to an abnormal situation is normal behavior. What if what you are calling depression is actually a completely sane response to a life that was never quite yours? Dark. Let me be specific about something. The people around you are draining you. Not all of them, but enough. And I do not mean the obvious ones. Not the toxic person you already know is bad for you. Not the relationship you have already identified as the problem. I mean something more subtle and more expensive than that. I mean the people who are simply wrong for who you actually are. Not bad people, not cruel people, not people who wish you harm. Just people who are built for a different frequency than yours. People whose idea of a good conversation never goes past the surface. People whose ambitions make you feel like yours are embarrassing. People who, when you say the real thing, the actual thing, the thought you've been turning over for weeks, look at you with a kind of polite blankness that tells you everything. They receive the words. They did not receive what was behind them. And you, who feel everything at a depth most people never access, have been sitting in rooms full of these people for years, performing a version of yourself small enough to fit, cutting the conversation off before it reaches the place where you would have to explain yourself, laughing at things that are not funny to you, staying quiet in the moments when you had the most to say. Friedrich Nietzsche said, "In individuals insanity is rare, but in groups, parties, nations, and epics it is the rule." And I want to apply that specifically to your situation. The version of you that feels broken may simply be the version of you that has been surrounded by a group that was never built to understand you. That is not a mental health diagnosis. That is a geography problem. You are in the wrong room, and the wrong room, held long enough, start to feel like the wrong self. Now, let me go further, because it is not just the people. It is the life itself. The job that requires you to be a version of yourself that you do not recognize. The city you live in because you ended up there, not because you chose it with your full self. The routine that was built around obligation and never once asked what actually made you feel alive. The ambitions you quietly retired because the people around you found them unrealistic. And eventually so did you. Henry David Thoreau sat in the woods for 2 years and wrote one of the most important sentences ever committed to paper. He said, "I went to the woods because I wished to live deliberately, to front only the essential fact of life, and see if I could not learn what I had to teach." And then he said the part that should land in your chest like a stone. He said, "I did not wish to live what was not life. I did not wish to live what was not life." How much of what you are currently living is not life? How much of your daily existence is a performance of a life rather than the actual living of one? And here is what that performance costs you. It costs you your vitality. Not your energy exactly, your vitality. The specific alive feeling that comes from moving in a direction that is genuinely yours. When you are living what is not life, the body knows. The nervous system registers the misalignment, and it responds the way any system responds. When asked to operate indefinitely, outside its design parameters, it breaks down, slowly, in ways that look like depression, in ways that look like anxiety, in ways that look like a chemical imbalance, when really, it is an alignment imbalance between who you are and how you are living.
So here is what I am going to say that nobody else will. Some of what you are calling depression is actually grief. Grief for the life you designed for yourself, that you have been slowly dismantling, one responsible decision at a time. Grief for the relationships you stayed in, long past the point where they were feeding you, because leaving felt harder than staying. Grief for the version of yourself that existed before you learned to make yourself acceptable. And grief, real grief, is not a medical condition. It is the correct emotional response to a real loss. And the only way through grief is not medication, not management, not the careful maintenance of a life that is making you disappear. It is honesty. The specific, brutal honesty of sitting with what is actually true. That the life you are living has significant portions that are wrong for you. That the people around you, however much they care, cannot give you what you actually need because they cannot see what you actually are. Albert Camus said, "The only way to deal with an unfree world is to become so absolutely free that your very existence is an act of rebellion." And I want to say something in that spirit. The most rebellious thing you can do in a life that has been slowly shaped by everyone else's comfort is to be ruthlessly, uncomfortably, unapologetically honest about what is wrong, not for drama, not to burn everything down, but because you cannot fix what you refuse to accurately name. You are not broken. You are misplaced, and misplaced things do not need to be fixed. They need to be moved. Jim Rohn said, "You are the average of the 5 people you spend the most time with." Look at those 5 people right now. Really look and ask yourself, is the person you are becoming around them the person you want to be? Because if the answer is no, then the most important work you have is not on yourself. It is on the architecture of the life around you. Change the room, change the people in it, change the conditions under which you are asking yourself to live, and watch how quickly what looked like depression starts to look like a person coming back to life. If this is the kind of honest conversation you have been looking for, I make one of these every week. You know where to find me.